Hi, I'm Catherine from Teaching Jobs London, and I'm going to be talking to you today about some changes with visa processing in Australia and just walk you through the process to apply for a Youth Mobility Scheme visa. I'll also give you a little bit of information about applying for other visas, but the focus is on that Tier 5 Youth Mobility Scheme visa, your eligibility, and then the process of applying and what you need to provide in terms of documentation. So the Tier 5 Youth Mobility Scheme visa is a visa that is open to Australian, Canadian and New Zealand citizens who are between the ages of 18 and 31 when they apply, and it gives you 2 years to live in the UK. You need to make sure that when you apply you have no dependents. It's seen as a youth visa, so you're not allowed to travel with children or anyone else on that visa. So between the ages of 18 and 31 years and with no dependents. If you are married, then your partner also needs to be eligible for the visa within their own rights. You need to have a clear criminal record, and you can't have previously had a Youth Mobility Scheme visa or a working holiday visa, which is what it was called previously. Now, during March of 2014, the UK Visa Services in Australia changed by opening a new visa application centre. So this is an outsourcing of the UK Visa Service in Australia to a company that's called VFS Global. Okay, these changes affect only the application process, so there haven't been any changes to the visa rules, but the assessment process continues to be the same as well. But you now work through a company called VFS when you apply for your visa and go for your biometric appointment. So to apply for your visa, you go online and you create a login and answer the application questions. So this is the page that you will see, and you will register for an account, and then you will log in and you'll be asked to select what type of visa you are applying for, and you are applying for a working visa, and it's a Tier 5 Youth Mobility Scheme visa. You follow the prompts and you answer the questions, and you'll be asked such things as what your address is when you arrive in the UK. If you don't know that, you can certainly put to be confirmed. If you've got any questions along the way, we're happy to help, but it's fairly self-explanatory. And when you get to the end of that application, you'll be asked to book your biometric appointment. So this is where the change in process occurs. The biometric appointment used to be done in a centre connected with the British High Commission, and this is now done through offices in most capital cities through a company called VFS. So you need to book in for your biometric appointment. In Sydney and Melbourne, this is a free appointment, but for other cities, which include Perth, Canberra, Brisbane and Adelaide, you will now have to pay $112 to gain your biometric scans. In Adelaide, they're having a pilot service at the moment, so it's likely that you won't have to pay that, but anyone outside of Sydney and Melbourne and Adelaide will pay $112 on top of the £208 for the actual visa to gain your biometric scans. The appointment times are generally between 8:30 and 3 p.m, and you book your online appointment, and then you will need to attend your appointment at the time booked. So just confirming, the biometric centres are within Australia: Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, Perth, Canberra and Adelaide, and in New Zealand it is Wellington, Auckland and Christchurch. In New Zealand, you work through Immigration New Zealand to gain your biometrics. So in the past, when you attended your biometric appointment, you had up to a month after that application to send off all your supporting documents, and you used to do that independently. But now the process has changed, and when you go in for your biometric appointment, you also need to have all of your supporting documents, and your visa application is sent off by the staff at VFS. So it's really important that when you arrive for your biometric appointment that you have all of the supporting documents that are required for your visa to be approved. So just walking you through that, you need to show that you have supporting funds for your application. So you need to have an original bank statement that shows that you have the equivalent of £1,890 in your bank account, and that needs to be an up-to-date bank statement dated no later than a month prior, and it needs to clearly state that you have the equivalent of £1,890, and that works out roughly at about $3,500 Australian dollars, but you'll need to check on the day of your biometric appointment that the exchange rate is correct and will convert to £1,890. You can also have a letter from the bank that shows your statement and dated the amount that you have in there, but do make sure that if you're given anything by your bank that it's an original copy, that it's in colour, and if it isn't, that they stamp it and make sure that it's dated and it's clearly an original copy. You'll also need some other documentation. So your passport, your travel document, your visa will actually be laminated and sent back to you within your passport, so you have to send that off, so bring that along with you for your biometric appointment. You need to make sure you have at least one blank page, and it needs to be valid for at least the first 6 months of your visa. We would highly recommend that you have a passport that's going to be valid for the full 2 years that you're allowed to live and work in the UK. You'll need to have a passport-sized photograph, so bring that along for your biometric appointment. And you'll also need to have printed off your VAF9 application form that you've completed online, and that's part of your application process as well. The staff will look through your supporting documents and help you to confirm that you have everything that you need, but it is your responsibility to be fully aware of everything that you need to gain your visa. They do have facilities for photocopying, and there's costs involved with that at the centres. So the visa processing has previously taken about 15 to 20 working days after the documentation has been sent off, so you can expect that after your biometric appointment that usually 3 weeks later you will receive your visa. That can either be shorter or a little bit longer than that, so give yourself a good amount of time. You need to apply for your visa within 3 months of when you plan to leave the country, so I would always recommend that you do it earlier rather than later. If you decide that you cannot arrive in the UK until long after your visa has been approved, just be aware that your 2 years will start to be eaten up if you wait any longer than 3 months to arrive in the UK after your visa has been approved and sent back to you. There is help at hand if you have questions that are difficult or you need clarification. You can certainly ask us, and we have a good knowledge and understanding of the visa process, but there's also a 1-800 number, and there's also a UK direct number as well, just being aware that there is a cost involved, but sometimes it's great to get that piece of information and know for sure that your visa will be approved, because if your visa is not approved, then there is an appeals process, but generally you'll need to reapply, and there's the cost involved in that is high. So your visa is actually now processed in Manila, so just be careful when you receive it back. Just double check that everything on your visa is correct, that your name has been spelt correctly, that your passport number correlates with the one in your visa, and that everything is correct, because obviously if you arrive in the UK with any spelling mistakes or errors on the visa, there is an issue with that, so check that when you receive it back in the post. also now allow you to have more speedier visa applications. So for a cost, you can get a visa in a shorter period of time. They have 5-day turnarounds and 3-day turnarounds, but again, you'll be paying quite a lot more for that. But in some instances, you need to get a visa quickly. Be aware that that is now available to Australian citizens. And we're here to help with any questions regarding eligibility and types of visas. There are different types of visas. If you have a parent or grandparent who is British, you could look at applying for an ancestry visa. If you have British parents, then you're most likely able to get yourself a British passport. You need to apply for that in good time because it's taking a long time at the moment. If your spouse is British or from the EU, then you need to look at a settlement visa. And we can, in some instances, help very qualified maths and science teachers and core subject areas with sponsorship. So entry clearance can be gained in that way as well. Please get in touch with us on 1800 230 488 or email us at teacher@teachingjobslondon.com.au. Jump online or on our Facebook. We've got other videos on YouTube as well. So hopefully this has been some help, and if you have further questions, let me know. Just see this as a guide. There's certainly a lot more information on the UK Visas and Immigration website shown in an earlier slide.